for having me.
Um, everything's good.
Yeah, things are going well.
All right.
Yeah.
Comedy-wise.
Comedy-wise, this has been a great year.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting booked anywhere last year, and this year has just been like really good. I started getting booked, and then
Yeah.
I got some great opportunities to be on some bigger shows, bigger clubs.
Yeah.
Got a chance to do the improv and the lab.
Holy shit.
Back in February. Booked on a show there, and then because of that, I got to do the Comedy Store 3 times now. I have
my
this
gosh.
show called the Punchlines Only.
I saw that.
Yeah, Nishi and Mike Muratori, Nishi XL and Mike Muratori, it's their show, and they've had me on 3 times. So I'm very grateful for them and just the opportunity. So it's been going well. I did some gigs outside of LA. Got a chance to do. I just did San Bernardino. Went out there. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's like a little tavern, and when I was there, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna close out the show."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, they said headliner. I'm like, I'm not a headliner, but they're like, you're closing your show out. I'm like, that's awesome. So, yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been like this year's been great for comedy, honestly.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
San Bernardino.
Yeah, it's like a quarter of the way to Vegas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You've been going all over town.
Yes, I really love gigs outside of LA.
Yeah.
Like if I can get a chance to do it outside of LA, I'm like, let's go, because LA we just used to seeing so many people here just kill.
Yeah.
That we get a little bit like dejected, like, oh, I don't know how it's gonna be, you know, like I'm not that good, blah blah blah. And then you go outside, you're like, I'm all right. And they appreciate comedy. They appreciate people coming out from like LA too.
Maybe you're right about that. I was doing the show yesterday, and the crowd seemed like they weren't responding well to things that I knew was supposed to work.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, when you know jokes work and you're like you're getting nothing from. Sometimes it's just a tough crowd. Like you can't blame. I can't blame the crowd either, but sometimes they're just like not with it. They just don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine. Maybe it's not for them. You know, this comedy's not for them.
I just had a feeling like they've seen so much stuff comedy in LA.
Yeah.
And they are in the bringer show, so they probably saw so much already.
Yeah, I get that too. And you can see so many killers here, like at the improv, at the Comedy Store, like laughing, like everywhere. There's so much great comedy happening.
Yeah.
So they're like a little, I think, not overwhelmed, but a little like indifferent sometimes. Yeah. It's like, all right. I still think, but I do like playing to those kind of crowds too, because I'm like, let's see if I can get them on my side.
That's true.
That's the fun part of it. Like, maybe this next joke.
Yeah.
Maybe this will get them. But yeah.
So I was stalking you on the internet, Yuri. There's a clip of you from Flappers 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yes.
That was a while ago.
That was a long time ago, yeah. So I started comedy 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first show I ever got booked on. It was at Flappers, and that set you saw, the first time I ever got booked for anything, and I had a good set. I had some good responses from that, and then I hated the open mic scene at the time because it was all just bucket mics. So this happened to me multiple times. Like I was working in like a job where I like, you know, whatever hours I was working, and it was hard to. I mean, evenings. I was just working usually evenings. So it was a few nights I got off, a few evenings where I had some time to go off. I'd drive somewhere, like to get any place in LA takes like an hour in the evening.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd drive an hour somewhere, wait for, all these bucket mics. You're waiting there for like 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Hoping to get called, and then you usually had to buy an item or something too.
Yeah.
And then, like this happened to me a few times where it's like, hey, you know. Your name doesn't get called, and you're driving back home. That takes like 40 minutes, and it's like, all right, well, I just wasted 4 hours and didn't get a chance to go even once. And they're like, oh, you know, come back next week, and we'll make sure to put you on or whatever. And now, the unfair part of that, like it's already, I'm like, all right, it sucks, but at least it's fair, right?
Yeah.
The unfair part of it was their buddies would come in, and they're like, oh, you going up right now. So I hated that so much, and I think that just like demoralized me, and I just stopped doing it for like a long time. I'd do a few mics here and there, but like very few. Yeah. And then all through the pandemic, we were all just home. That's the only thing I thought about. Oh, dang. I was like, oh, if I ever get a chance to do it again, this is all I want to do. And once everything like kind of opened up, I discovered that everything had moved to like slotted. And a lot of people like, especially older comics, are like kind of against slotted, but I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to go up there and practice my jokes. I don't care if it's a crowd of just comics who are there for that. I'm like, I just need to get on stage and try this out, because you can try it out at home all you want, but it's not the same as it is in front of an audience.
Yeah.
So the slotted really like helped me develop and like actually become develop my jokes and become like comfortable up there and like actually get a sense of like trying to find my voice. So I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for Joe Menente for like starting that, because apparently he's the one who did that at like Fourth Wall, and then everyone kind of copied him, everyone else, and I'm grateful for that a lot.
Was the Fourth Wall the first open mic that you started going to, or no?
When I first came back?
When you first started doing
No, well, when I first started like 6 years ago, it was like just flappers.
Just flappers.
There was a place on, do you know where the Jam of the Van is? In like Culver City, West LA.
Heard of it?
Yeah. Right across the street from there is a place called The Garage. It's just a bar, bar restaurant kind of thing. They had open mics every Thursday, so that was the first place I ever got up. First time I ever did open mic. Now, the first place I ever went to do an open mic was the Comedy Store.
Oh shit!
The Potluck, yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, crazy, right? Because I wouldn't even think about like that. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody for their first time. And I went there.
How'd you do?
I didn't go up.
Oh.
So here's the thing.
Thank God.
I mean, yeah. So I went there because I was listening to podcasts. Like, if you want to do comedy, that's the place to go.
Wow.
So I went there. I put my name in the bucket. This is when they used to still do the buckets back then. And I was talking to another guy who was just starting out. I think he had done like 2 open mics before that. And I was just talking to him, and he's started talking to someone else, and he's like, oh no, they put the list out. They put the list out of who's going to go up.
Yeah.
First name, Yudhi Sharma.
Oh.
Yeah, number 1. I was like, oh shit, okay. I'm panicking a little bit. I'm like, all right, what do I do? So I'm like scrambling, looking around, trying to go over my notes and stuff. And the guy I was talking to earlier, he's like, hey, they're calling your name like right now.
Gosh.
I was like, oh shit. I didn't even notice the time. So I went inside, and I was like, oh, I'm here. They're like, you missed your chance, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're like, come back next week. And I didn't try it again for a year.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And
was it a belly room? Original?
Original room.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I'm glad I didn't.
Right.
I mean, so I did go back, but by then I found out about the mic near my home.
Yeah.
The garage. I did it there, and I had a good set, and I was like, okay, maybe this is good. And then I did go on in the original room for like my 4th or 5th mic or something, and I just ate shit. Yeah, they were not good jokes. None of them were good, but definitely learned something from that.
Nice. It sounds like you've been here in LA for a very long time.
Yes, sir. Since '97.
97?
Yeah.
So you basically grew up here?
I grew up here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How old were you?
When I first got here,
Yeah.
I was 9 years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a pretty similar story to mine.
Oh, really?
You came from Punjab?
Yes. So I was born in India, in Punjab, and then my dad came to the U.S. in '94.
Oh.
And my mom and I came to the U.S. in '95. So he came here in kind of like in Joliet, Illinois, and he sort of got things settled. And then my mom and I came here, and we lived there for like 2 years. But neither of my parents drive, and you can't live in a place that's like rural and it snows a lot.
Oh God.
Where like you can't live in a place like that without a car. So my dad was considering moving to either New York or LA, and it somehow just happened to be LA, and so we've pretty much been here since.
Did you move because of your dad's work?
Well, kind of. I mean, just to be able to because here there's like public transportation.
Yeah.
Over there wasn't any public transportation, so he's like, let's move to a place where we can actually get around without someone's help, without always asking somebody for a ride or whatnot. Because even where we were living, it's 60 miles outside of Chicago.
Oh God.
And there's like almost no taxis. Now there's like Ubers and stuff everywhere, but even there's still like, if you call an Uber there, they're like 50 minutes. You know? So it was so hard to get around there, and we came here and it was fine. So my parents were able to like find work, and they were able to get around. And
was it the 3 of you?
Just the 3 of us. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Were you a good student?
I was a good student.
Yeah.
I was a good student. For the most part, I was a good student. The thing is, people tend to like me usually. I don't like saying that, but like people tend to like me, and my teachers always kind of liked me, so they always are like, oh, he's trying or whatever, even when I was doing bad. So they kind of like gave me a little extra some extra chances that I think But yeah, I had some. I was in the honor roll in middle school. That didn't go so well, but I was a decent student. Let's say.
Okay.
Let's say that I was a great student, but yeah.
And when did the journey into comedy start? Was it when you were young, or after graduating school?
When did I start doing it, or when did I think about doing it, or
were you always interested in comedy?
So when my mom and I got here in '95, like I said, my dad had been here for a year, so I lived away from my dad for a year, and I'd grown some, as a kid, like between like 6 and 7, how much ever you can grow in that time. And so I came here, and he was a bit of a stranger to me. And I remember the three of us living in Joliet, Illinois, like living in the apartment we were in. We used to listen to these tapes, these comedy tapes, which were in Punjabi. And I remember just us bonding over that, just like all of us like just laughing and kind of bonding over that. That's where I recognized the power of like comedy. And it was always in my head to, like, I'd watch comedians on TV, Jay Leno or whatnot. Like, he always had comedians on, and I hadn't decided school like how one would go about doing that at that time. And then in high school was when I really started listening to like everybody, and that's I mean like everybody I could get, every like stand-up special I could get my hands on. George Lopez, the blue collar guys like Ron White and Jeff Foxworthy and all of them. Russell Peters blew up at that time.
I love Russell Peters.
He's great guy. And Carlos Mencia, all of my favorite comedians, Chris Rock. Yeah. Listen to all of his stuff. Like I said, George Lopez, and that's when I was like, oh wow, I would like to like do this, but I still didn't like even know the pipeline about to do it. Yeah. I've lived like 3.5, 4 miles away from the Comedy Store like my whole life.
Oh damn.
Yeah. But I didn't try it until much later. I think in like my mid-20s is when I first tried it, and then stopped. Also that.
You did try when you were super young.
Well, in my mid-20s was the first time I tried.
Yeah. That was long before the Comedy Store original one that you were talking about.
No, that was that. That was that time.
Okay. How old were you?
I'm sorry?
How old were you when you did that?
25, maybe 26.
Yeah. By the way, on Russell Peters, I was thinking about this, how there's this weird dynamic where Russell Peters was making fun of Asians.
Yes.
And then Asians were making fun of Indians.
Yes. Yeah.
But I stopped doing that. But, I mean, have you ever noticed that? Like, we're making fun of each other for the joy of basically white people, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of.
There is a little bit of that. So the one thing I refuse to do in my comedy is I refuse to do an Indian accent.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, even when I'm, even if I'm doing a bit where I'm talking about my mom or my dad saying something, I'll just say it. I'm like, my mom said this to me in Punjabi or whatever. I don't want to do I don't like doing that. Yeah. If someone else is doing it, have at it, whatever you want to do. But like, I refuse to do that. I think I like the idea of a joke making, like if I'm making a joke about a certain race, I want them to laugh at it first. I want them to be so I do a lot of, so I'm a big hip hop head, and I grew up listening to like a lot of hip hop, and I wanted to be a rapper when I was younger, and I used to record songs and stuff too, but so I do a lot of jokes that are about like Black culture, and I specifically try to go to places that have like black crowds, because I was like, I want to make sure that they're laughing at this, that they find this funny before I like I like to perform in front of like all kinds of crowds. Like, put me up wherever you want to put me up. I'll do it. Let's go. Yeah.
Makes sense. Were you friends with Young Baka?
I was an acquaintance of Young Baka. Not friends specifically, but he put me on a lot of times on shows, just like random shows here and there. Yeah. So, and I'm grateful for that too, because he put me on some like that. I think the last show I did with him was blanking on the place's name. It's a bar. It's like a little dive bar on Crenshaw.
Sunset?
No, it was a dive bar on Crenshaw. I've done Sunset Rooftop a couple times too, but dive bar on Crenshaw was called the Cozy Room or something like the living room. The living room, which was predominantly black crowd, and they had been coming to that bar. They were regulars of that bar for like the last 15, 20 years. Some people had been coming in there. So when I went in there, they're like, not just me, but all the comics are like, "Who are you?" Like, this is our home, you know?
Wow.
So, and I was excited. I was like, let's go. Let's see if my material works. And it did.
Wow.
It worked really well. Like, I got like an applause break on this one joke. That's the joke is I saw a sign recently that said "Black Coochie Matters," and I'm not political, but I feel like all coochie matters. And there's more to that. But that, like, they really liked it. They're like, "Oh, it's fun," and he's doing, you know. But so I didn't know him personally, but he did put me on quite a lot. And the last message I got from him was he said, "Hey, I have this gig out in San Pedro if you want to do it."
Oh man!
And I was like, and I had a conflicting prior commitment that day to do another show, so I was like, I can't, you know, I'm doing another show. And he's like, "All right, next time." And I was like, "Yeah, please let me know."
Oh.
That was like the last I heard from him. R.I.P. Yeah.
Sounds like it was pretty cordial relationship.
Yeah.
That's good. I never interacted with him, but I think I remember talking to you about him or somebody else. Like,
his name came up quite a lot, and not in the most
flattering
way. Yeah, a lot of people had like some gripes with him.
I think the first time I met you was at the third Reel, Yudhi.
Oh, was it?
Or the Hollywood Comedy.
Yeah.
Probably one of the Ego Death.
Possibly, yeah. I love the Ego Death. Love Lauren. She's great.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I think it's really fun, especially because I get to. So I know like 60-some hip hop songs off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And when I saw a chance to go up there and like recite them,
that's true.
I was like, let's go, let's do this. It'll be fun. And that was a place where I got to do that. Because as a comedian, you never feel cool on stage.
Yeah.
If you feel cool on stage, you're doing something wrong. The only time you should feel cool is like, oh, that was a good set.
Yeah.
That went well. That's it. But you can't ever, because we're clowns.
Yeah.
Right? We're there to make people laugh and all that. But that show allows you to be cool. Like a little bit. And then, you know, after that, like, oh, now do jokes. And I'm like, I don't want to do jokes. They just saw me doing that. Now I eat shit.
How was the Hollywood Improv when she had it?
Oh, the show? It was great. Great energy.
Nice.
Everyone did really well. The crowd responded really well to it. It was a lot of regulars of the Ego Death mic. Yeah. So they knew like what the thing was. So everyone was happy for Lauren, including myself. I was like, I'm so glad that they gave her a chance, that they took a chance on that show, because I think that show deserves to be much bigger than it is.
Who else from Third Wheel was there?
I don't think anyone on the lineup was from Third Wheel, but like all the people who support the mic usually, everyone was there.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was thinking about going, but did you get free tickets?
No, I just bought a ticket just to go.
How much was
support? I can't remember, like $15, $20 or something.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then 2-item minimum, which I also get. Yeah, it's like.
To be completely honest with you, I don't think I can afford that. It's $30.
Yeah, no, dude, comedy's expensive.
I know.
Doing comedy is expensive because you gotta support other comics.
Yeah.
Right, and that can get expensive. A lot of times, like, hey, I like a buddy's show, or like, I want to go and be a supportive friend, but tickets and then item minimums and all that stuff, it can get a little pricey.
Do you do that a lot? I'm trying to do it more, but
I try to do it as much as I can. But like I said, it is expensive. So I'm like, sometimes I gotta say, I'm sorry, I can't. I won't be able to make it and whatnot. But,
wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's also about being a nice comedian, because sometimes I don't think I'm nice enough to go support somebody that I don't really like.
Yeah, I get that. I don't want to go see Hacks, or or even there's even certain shows where I'm like, I don't care for the producer of this show so much, but
you still go though.
But I still go to support my friend who's on the show.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, and they come out to support my stuff too, and
that's good.
I'm in that position where I don't have to just rely on comics.
Yeah.
To come to my shows, because I've lived here so long. I know a lot of people. I grew up here. So I can reach out to friends who are like who I grew up with, or like people I grew up with, and they've been asking for a while, ever since I've been I've been doing it regularly for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, we want to come out to see your show. I'm like, nah, let's wait until I'm a better comic. And then now I'm like, all right, let's wait till I have a bigger show. So, you know, if I have a bigger show, I'm like, hey, this is the one you want to come out to, and I promise it's going to be good. And thankfully, they all of my buddies, all the people that I've known, they're like, hey, we want to come back. Like, that was genuinely good, so we want to come back and see you again.
Man, that's a good point that you're making, because one time this was a fourth wall show, and then I invited a bunch of friends that I met here in LA.
Yeah.
And it was not a good set. I was doing some weird shit.
Sure.
Just experimental shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think I should have done that, because I guess they were expecting like a good show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to do new stuff in front of. I mean, it's hard to try stuff out at a show.
Especially when your friends are there, because you're gonna see them again.
Yeah, because like I want to do a good show, but I also want to try new stuff.
Yeah.
I can't keep doing the same. That's the big thing I have right now, because I've been fortunate enough to get on like the Punchlines Only show at the Comedy Store a few times. So friends were like, hey, when's your next show? I'm like, don't come to the next one. Come to the one after that, because I want to have new jokes. I don't want you guys to have to see the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, come to the next one. Don't worry about this one.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. And then I try to like space it out a little bit on how I invite them, like, a little bit. Because I also want to do new jokes. But to do those new jokes, you got to go bomb with new jokes everywhere. And so I try to hit up like a lot of mics. And I'm like, all right, let's see where this has some value with this joke, and try to kind of go from there.
I see your fourth wall a lot.
I'm sorry?
I see your fourth wall a lot.
I love the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's fourth wall NoHo is my favorite room in LA. It's my favorite place to do. That room is mean. That room gives you. There's no we'll give them a little like the laughter there. Nobody's generous with their laughs there. Like you're either funny or you're not. So that room is very like. I mean, I'm saying mean, but it's truthful.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I've been in shows where people are like, woo, or whatever, and I'm like, that's not helping. Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
It sounds like you go way back here in LA.
I do.
At Flappers, when I first started going to the Flappers mic, that's when Nishi was hosting there.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't host the mics there anymore, but are you good friends with her?
Yes, I am. I've become friends with her, and she's been like a bit of a comedy mentor.
Oh, nice.
So I've gotten like a lot of advice from her. If I'm about to do something, or if I have any questions, like she's one of the people I go to first. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Can you? And she's been really helpful. And she's been like, and I try to ask a few other comics who are like a bit more established, who've been doing it longer, who like have done these big like. My buddy Robbie who hosts the show at the Roost in the Roost Cocktails in Atwater. He's been doing it for like longer, so he's one of the people I ask, and just to get his opinions and stuff. So
nice.
But yeah, she's been really helpful, and she's a good person like overall.
Speaking back to your Indian heritage.
Yeah.
So English is not your first language.
So it's not, and it kind of is.
Yeah.
My first language, so I speak 3 languages: Hindi, Punjabi, and English. Hindi and Punjabi are very similar. So if a person's speaking Hindi, a person's speaking Punjabi, they can usually kind of figure out what the other one's saying. But they are their own languages because they have their own alphabets.
They don't have them?
They do. They have their own alphabet, so they are considered their own languages. But I learned Hindi and English kind of at the same time in school. But in India, we learned colonial English. So that's why Indian people have that accent. Because we're trying to speak English like the Brits.
Oh, I see.
Like the British folks. So coming to the U.S., it's like, oh, okay, well, this isn't the same kind of English.
Right.
And that's why there's that accent a little bit. And but yeah, once I got here, I learned like American English, and now I.
Did you grow up with a bunch of Latino kids here in LA?
Oh yeah. I had like a lot of Latino friends, Black friends.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, more than Indian friends actually.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see that many Indian people here in LA.
There are. Well, if you go to events, you're like, whoa, okay. There's a lot. I think there's just way too many people in LA overall.
True.
So it's hard to even.
Are there like pockets?
There are. Oh yeah. There's pockets. There's a lot of Indian people here. Punjabi people specifically, a lot are in. in like Toronto. I think that's a huge community of Indian people, like Vancouver, Toronto, Punjabi people specifically. So I don't see a lot of Punjabis here. I see a few here and there, but mostly it's like Gujarati or India's just like 1.4 people, 1.4 billion people in India now.
Right.
So there's a lot of us.
Did you grow up going to temple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few Hindu temples, some really beautiful ones too.
Yeah.
There's a Hare Krishna temple right near where I live in Culver City.
Gotcha.
And there's a Valley Hindu temple in the valley on like Reseda. That one's I was just there like 2 days ago.
Oh, dang.
And there's a Malibu Hindu temple like right in the mountains. That one's like really big, and I encourage people to go out and check out the events they throw on, because everyone's welcome. Like whoever wants to come, they can come, and they usually have like. With each Indian holiday, there's always like a feast. So they're like, "Hey, please come in and grab some food."
For real?
Yeah.
I've gone to Holi once. It was fun.
Holi.
Yeah, Holi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Festival of Colors.
Yeah. This is probably not appropriate to mention it on the podcast.
Go for it.
You know how you put the color on the people?
Yes.
But sometimes there are attractive women mixed in.
Yeah.
I guess that gets a little bit awkward.
That's not appropriate to mention on a podcast.
That's fun. Well, have you always been a big part of the Hindu community here?
Not so much.
Oh.
Not so much. My parents, I was born Hindu, but my parents never forced religion on me. We for the most part, we just went to temple like on holidays, or every now and again we'll go just for, to go. But they were never like, hey, you have to follow these traditions. You have to all of that stuff. They did the one thing they said, like, hey, if you're my mom is a strict vegetarian. She's never eaten like even eggs or any fish or anything in her life. Nothing from an animal other than milk. And my dad and I, we eat meat, but we've never eaten beef before. I mean, I've had it once accidentally, or twice accidentally rather. But other than that, I've never eaten beef on purpose. So they were just like, hey, if you're gonna do that, like try not to eat beef, But they're never strict with any of that stuff. But I've gotten more religious in the past 10 years or so, I think. Maybe a little bit more than them, I think, more than my parents. But yeah.
What happened?
I had a weird, not weird, but just like a nihilistic, sort of depressive 20s. My 20s, early, right after, I guess right after high school to like up until I was 25 or so. And I became sort of an atheist, I guess, and I stopped believing in all of that. And then I had this experience, I guess, and it sort of opened me up to the idea of there being a higher being. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm agnostic now, I'm not atheist. And then the further away I got from Hinduism, though, the more I understood it. Because a lot of things that we are hearing now in the realm of like science, Hinduism has been talking about that for thousands of years. So for an example, like you know how they say like, oh, everything's a simulation. This could all be a simulation.
Yeah.
There's a high probability it's a simulation.
Yeah.
Right?
Talks about that all the time.
Akshay, so yeah, he's a hilarious comic, and he's very thought provoking with his comedy. So they're saying like it's simulation, right? Hinduism has been saying, hey, this is all Maya.
Oh wow.
It's all an illusion.
Huh.
That the part of the responsibility of each individual is to try to be a good person within the Maya, within the illusion. Be a good father, husband, wife, whatever, friend. Make sure there's these like certain set of responsibilities you have to your relationships to carry those out.
Yeah.
But beyond that, don't get attached to anything, especially anything that can take your mind away from trying to be a good person, which is like greed and like lust or all the sins and all that. It's like yeah, so I thought that part of it was fascinating. And Hinduism is also very open. There's no one ever trying to convert you to Hinduism because that doesn't exist. Hinduism is in itself is accepting of all of the faiths. The idea is, hey, believe in somebody and then devote your life to believing in that deity, whoever that may be. So it's like, hey, it's Jesus, cool, go with Jesus. If it's Allah, cool, go with Allah or whomever. So the idea is like, hey, just be a good person and then try to find God wherever you may want to find Him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You explained the experience. What was that like?
It was a psychedelic experience.
Oh,
yeah. I had this. Excuse me. I've never used drugs or anything like that. I don't like to. I've never had any of those, but I did have like a weed brownie once.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that. It was that like really, and I had the very stereotypical experience with that too, where you eat some and you're like, oh, this is doing nothing, and then you eat more and then more. And then,
oh man.
Yeah, like the first time I ever had it, and because I was curious to try that out. Like I do want to delve more into that actually. Like I'm very curious to go try like an ayahuasca trip.
Oh.
I've been fascinated with that, and I do want to go like to the actual, like Peru or whatever, and like actually try that out. And
is it a mushroom?
Ayahuasca?
Yeah.
It's a root from one plant and leaves from another plant,
oh, wow.
and then they mix it up in this like kind of a soup kind of a deal.
Huh.
And there's a shaman present, and they give it to you, and it's not a fun experience. Like everyone I talk to, it's not like it's not like one of those party things, right? Like you're gonna throw up, you're gonna shit yourself. These are part of the ritual, but you'll hopefully come out better on the other side.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, I'm fascinated with that. I really do want to try that, and yeah. So the experience I had was the weed brownie, and I came home and my buddies were there, and I went to the bathroom, and I was just over the sink, and I just kind of like my mind just sort of, I don't know, imploded or whatever. And I had this hallucination, or I don't even know how to describe it. It didn't feel like a hallucination. It felt like there was this being, this soul or whatever, just hurtling through space, and there was like a giant light at the end of the universe somewhere. I was going towards that, which I imagined to be God. And the idea of the ego was like completely shed. I was like, oh, I was once this guy named Yudhi. Yeah. And I'm no longer that. That was just like there's this saying, I guess, in Hinduism, like your body is kind of like these clothes you put on. You put them on for a time, and then you take them off. Right. And that's how you shed your body, and then there's the idea of like reincarnation and all that too. Right. So like you live multiple lives. So the idea of me being who I am today, right now, right sitting in front of you, like all that was gone. I was like, oh, that was there once, and now it's no longer here. So I felt like I was going, like I said, like just going through space and towards this light, and I've been traveling for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. I don't know how long it felt like, but it also didn't feel like time didn't seem to matter almost. Right. And then something sort of crept in my mind about just like my thought, like you know how you lose your focus. It was kind of like that, where I was like I kind of lost my focus, and I started remembering myself, and then I just sort of felt like I was falling from whatever that thing was, and then I just sort of fell back into my body. Wow. And it was like an out-of-body
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a really weird out-of-body experience. I've never experienced anything like that before or since. But I took that as religious, and I went out, asked my buddies, I was like, hey, how long was I in the bathroom for? They're like 10 minutes. And I was like, okay.
How long did it feel like?
It felt fantastical. Yeah. Like it felt, like I've never experienced anything like that before or since, like I said. So it was, I wasn't sure what to think. It took me a long time to process it, and it didn't feel like a hallucination. It felt more so like, I was like, oh, that might have been the truth, and this is kind of the illusion that we're living or whatnot.
Did it feel like 11 minutes? 10 minutes?
No. It felt like like I said, time seems to matter. So I was like, I don't know, but maybe I was there for like 1,000 years.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
17 seconds. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I still can't like wrap my mind around what that was. But it definitely felt. It felt bigger than whatever life I'm living, at least.
Yeah.
You know. So, and I think it helped me. It helped me like reorient my mind, and I was like, okay, so let's stop aimlessly wandering and try to become, try to find myself and try to become a viable member of society and try to like actually do something. So, yeah.
Were you kind of in that kind of a rough period?
Yeah.
You were trying. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, like I said, it was a. I don't know if it was depression or if it was just like nihilism, where like nothing matters, and it's like, oh, nothing matters anyway. So why are we? Why try anything? Why do anything? Right? I think it was that. I was stuck in that for like a while, maybe like a good 6-7 years. And,
wow.
Yeah. And
it's interesting because you know Mark Krause.
Yeah. Also a very funny comic.
Yeah, he was saying something like that. Well, and then he had like a very depressed period where he was like homeless and playing the guitar on the streets or something.
Yeah.
Then he had something happen to him. In this case, I think he went to prison instead of having like a hallucination experience.
Sure.
But then he found himself. But anyways, that just reminded me of that.
I gotta talk to him about it next time.
It sounds like you're a very like pensive person. You're philosophical.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Would you say you're like introverted?
No, I think I'm more ambiverted.
Ambiverted.
So yeah, a little bit of both. I generally enjoy company of others, and like
Gotcha.
I like going out and having fun with buddies.
Yeah.
And comedy has allowed me to do that a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's, I feel like this is my tribe.
Yeah.
Like I've been saying this as like my favorite thing about comedy off stage is just hanging out with comedians.
That's true.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But I like my alone time too.
Yeah.
I like that. I like there's periods where I'm like I just need to kind of be by myself and like just with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot to process sometimes.
That's true.
And yeah, but a bit of both.
You seem like a pretty chill person, unless you're hiding some kind of murderous thought.
No murders yet. Yeah. Okay, so I have when I was younger, I had like real anger issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think I tried to. So because of that, I became a very understanding person.
Huh.
So I'm like, okay, instead of getting mad, I try to understand what it is,
huh.
or where someone's coming from, and another great coping mechanism is just joking your way out of it. Because like you need to respond to something that's shitty, right? So I'm like, okay, let's just joke about it. That's another way to get that anger out, and then if I can channel that into something funny, then yeah, let's do that.
You're like what's his name? Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner turning into the Incredible Hulk. Sure, yeah, I'll take it. I had an ex-girlfriend who used to say that actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's funny.
Is it a big part of your life, like anger management?
No, not so much. No,
okay.
I mean, it's more so just like understanding. Like I get angry all the time, but I am like, all right, let's just try to figure out where it's coming from. The best way to, dissolve it, because anger it's like holding something really, really hot.
Yeah.
Like the longer, like a pan or whatever, right? If it's really hot, you're holding it. The longer you're holding it, the more you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's not gonna. It's helping nobody.
Yeah.
It's a shitty emotion. It's valuable in certain cases, but I just like to be. I like to talk things out.
Yeah.
As much as I can, even if I'm angry, I'm like, hey, let's have a conversation about it, and I'll express my anger through just the words instead of what I used to do as a kid, which is like break things or whatever.
Oh,
you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
I got heckled recently at the open mic at Ice House on Thursdays.
Yeah.
At
an open mic?
Yeah, I mean, why would there be hecklers at open? I just can't explain it.
Yeah.
I got so. During the moment, it was okay. I just did my jokes, but then afterwards, I just wanted to beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah. Don't heckle me at an open mic.
I know.
Especially that's an audition mic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that there. That's shitty.
That is shitty.
Yeah.
All right. At least I got that off my chest.
I didn't realize we were going to get so introspective here. I thought it was just going to be all comedy.
And Yuri, do you work?
I do.
What do you do?
I do some tech stuff. So
I think we had a conversation about
yeah. So I for the past 5-6 years, I was working in this tech company. It was a startup.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and we helped. We made games and apps for kids who needed therapy, physical
Right.
therapy, occupational therapy. So we made some really cool games where it was all tracking you from your phone, like physically tracking you. So you'd be able to tell, like, hey, you did this 3 jumping jacks, right? And this one was different from this one in this way and all that. So I was doing that for a while. I don't code. I'm not a programmer, but I help with like a lot of the other aspects of it. And I did that for like a long time. And that company, now it's all like research based. So now it was like, all right, it's time to move on because we had this novel technology that we made, and then everyone else kind of caught up to it. So now it's like doesn't mean so much anymore. So I was trying to move on from that, and I've been doing some other tech work, helping people like online.
Oh,
a couple of clients where I help with certain things.
Did you make a lot of money?
No, that was the thing. Like it was a startup. We were banking on the team I work with, great people, all of them. And we're banking on like selling the company, and then once the owners, when they would sell it, that we would get like equity, and that didn't happen. But that's part of life too. Like sometimes things don't work out. Would have been nice, but it's all right.
Gotcha.
Works out.
Gotcha. Do you still like working in tech?
I do. It's fun. Yeah. I didn't even think about it really. Like I mean, I didn't consider that like even an option, but I was always good at computers.
Yeah.
So I know more than the average person, like how to, work on computers, fix computers, all that stuff. So it is fun. I think men are usually a little bit more industrious with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we like kind of taking things apart, looking at them and all that. So I think that part of it is that part of it is really fun. I do enjoy that.
Is it easy to find a tech-related job here in
I
LA?
don't know how to answer that question.
Okay.
I'm not equipped to answer that question because I sort of stumbled into the job that I had for like a long time. And now I am looking for like some more work now because I had that and I had this other thing going on at the same time. And now I just have the one job. So I'm like, all right, I got to find something else. And I'd like it to be remote if it's possible. I'd like something remote to be able to continue the comedy stuff.
That's true.
While I have this extra time on my hands, I'm like, all right, let's hit comedy a little bit harder and see what I can, if I can move this along.
No, I feel you. I always felt like when I was focused on day job side, my comedy wasn't improving. Yeah. But then when I was focusing on the comedy side, then I'm going, homeless, broke.
Yeah. And dude, it's expensive living here.
Yeah.
It's so expensive living here, and like I said, comedy itself is expensive.
Yeah.
So just to try to do all of it it takes a lot. And then there's the other thing where I also help take care of my parents.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. So there's that, and I want to make sure that they're good.
Yeah.
And it can be expensive. I'm not worried though.
Yeah.
We did manage to like save some money, so like I have.
That's awesome.
A little bit, yeah, and I don't want to delve too deeply into the savings either. But I'm like, all right, I gotta figure something else out. But it's all right. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Something
will come along.
I guess that's a good way to think about it. I'm looking for a job, so.
Yeah. What are you looking for? What type of work?
I used to have like a remote IT job, and then I quit because I couldn't take it anymore. It was like soul sucking.
Yeah.
But now I kind of miss it. I just want the money without doing the work.
Don't we all?
But right now I'm just a substitute teacher.
Okay. I can see a teacher vibe from you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You have that patience of a teacher. Yeah. Which. What age range or what grades typically?
High school.
High school?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm fascinated by what high school kids are like now because
they're pretty chill.
I just remember myself as a high school kid. I was like, we were a little rowdy and stuff. But now I imagine everybody just has a phone.
Yeah.
I mean, we had phones too, but we had like flip phones
and
we had whatever. But now they're like, hey, use like iPhones and shit. So
Yeah.
it's all available right there. Like ChatGPT and shit. So it's like, hey, I don't really need to do the work anymore either for a lot of it.
Yuri, what's Clubhouse?
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Clubhouse was an app
Yeah.
that became popular during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was a way to just hop on. There's these rooms where you go in there and you would just speak. You would speak like you'd be able to. There was like a stage where like they invited people up.
Yeah.
And then
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so there could be like 2 or 3 people or 10 people up on stage just talking. And there was like a moderator to make sure, like, hey, if someone's getting rowdy, to kick them back down in the audience, or you could start your own room. You could do that as well, and then just get like things going there, invite your buddies and all that. So it was a fun app when we had no access to the outside world for like a long time. It was a good, fun app. I met some good people on there.
Really?
Yeah, I met some good, genuine people, and then there were also comedy shows on Clubhouse. Like I'm blanking on her name right now. But this comic, she like really got big because of that. She got like gained like a pretty big following. Leah Lamar, I think her name is, something like that. She gained a pretty big following, and she became like she like getting gigs from that. I checked out the comedy rooms every now and again. Whenever it was like, hey, here's my material. I never did that. I thought it was that wasn't something I wanted to do. But
you can do your bits on there. Yeah,
there were comedy rooms where like, hey, come up and do some time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just from like your own home, wherever you were. And it's all it's voice only, so no video.
Right.
It was just voice. It was a fun time to be on that. My buddy, who's a comedian in Toronto.
Yeah.
He used to run this room with some other like friends of his, and they were all Indian, Punjabis, and I learned a lot from that room, and they were like about the Punjabi culture, which I've been detached from because I grew up here, so I got a chance to learn a lot from them. And he's a very funny guy, so he and I we started collaborating on some stuff, and we tried doing a podcast, but like a lot of that was my fault also. Like we didn't get that continue on with that, but yeah, I met him. He's a great guy also. So Clubhouse is a fun app.
Do you mind if I can get an invite from you? But isn't it invite only?
Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore?
It used to be invite only. Now I can just hop on.
Really? Okay, maybe I'll give it a try. Is there a lot of people on it? No,
I don't think so. I don't think there's a lot of people anymore. Because I think once the world opened up, people were like, we're just going to go outside now. Yeah, and then Twitter copied the format, and they started doing their own thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the Twitter Spaces.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, so Twitter literally they're like, we'll just incorporate this into our app, and now you can just hop on Twitter Spaces and do that. I think, what was his name? Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida.
Yeah.
He announced his presidential run on Twitter Spaces, which was like, why? Why are you doing this here? What a weird way to do it. But yeah.
You know what else seems dead? Threads?
Yeah, Threads is...
Do you do it?
I made an account, but I haven't posted anything. I'll go on every now and again just to kind of see it, but I was never a big fan of Twitter either.
Yeah.
I never really used it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't use Threads.
That's true. All right, never mind then. I think we're almost out of time. All right, thanks, Yuri. If I could give you a video of this in 5 years, in 2029, where do you think you'll be?
2029, 5 years. Hopefully, like the best outcome, I'd like to be able to do the road. Yeah. Consistently. Like if I could just have gigs. Yeah. Hopefully have a good, maybe an hour by then. Like a good hour that I'm touring with, and just like that, I guess, and hopefully still having a base here in LA, and then maybe a place in like Austin as well.
Man.
Yeah.
Like a real estate?
What?
Mogul?
No, I mean, just like having a apartment here and like a place in Austin or something to do comedy there.
Oh,
here.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Man.
How about you? Where would you like to be in 5 years?
I have no idea. I just like asking people.
Yeah, but you should also have an answer for that.
I don't know.
Everything goes well. Everything goes exactly how you want. Where would you want to be?
It's a lot of money, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause, like, everything goes exactly how you want. Where would you want to be?
Yeah. 'Cause, like, everything goes exactly how you want. Where would you want to be? It's a lot of money, I guess. 'Cause, like, everything goes exactly how you want. Where would you want to be? Yeah.
Yeah, money would be nice. Money helps, like, it helps you not worry about things. For that, it's good.
A lot of girls would be nice.
Women also help, although they do help take away a lot of that money.
Hopefully, a nice wife.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I would also like to be in a relationship. I think
Nice.
A nice lady, and
Are you dating?
I'm not. I mean, I'm not seeing anybody at the moment. I'm trying to. It's also harder with comedy.
I know. You're telling me. I was talking to Mom about this before.
Yeah, my mom was like, "Hey, maybe you should find a woman in comedy." I'm like, "No.
Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, that's not a good idea at all.
Although I would say, a couple cute girls.
A lot of very lovely women. A lot of
Yeah.
very lovely, very talented women.
Yeah,
I don't want to date any of them.
I know, right?
None of them. Not in comedy. First of all, it feels a little bit incestuous. And other than that, I'm like, I think everyone in comedy has a little bit of crazy.
Yeah.
Not just women, everybody.
No, that's true.
Everyone's a little crazy. First of all, we're all delusional
Yeah.
to even attempt comedy and be like, oh, I'm going to make something of this, right? There's
Oh.
already that delusion. So ironically, I read this on Threads. Somebody posted this. It was a brilliant point somebody made, where a woman was asking, she's like, why is it so hard dating in LA?
Oh.
And somebody replied to her with a brilliant point. He said, because in LA, you're not competing, like, let's say you're interested in a woman, right?
Yeah.
You're not competing for her attention with other dudes. You're competing for her attention with her dreams, right? Because of that, her dreams are going to come first. Your dreams are going to come first. So because of that, it's a little bit harder. Because outside of LA, people are like, oh, I just want to have a job. I want to have whatever. I want to have relationships. I want to really give it more energy, more time, so that I can develop that. Whereas here, it's like, no, I have this gig. Like, I got to cancel this date or whatever it is because I have this gig. So, yeah. So it's a little bit harder, I think, in LA because of that. But
Also, it probably would blow up in our face, right, if we date a comedian.
I mean, some comics manage to make it work.
Oh, really? No.
Some make it work. Tom Segura and Christina Brzezinski.
I don't know.
They're big. Tom Segura, you know Tom Segura.
Oh, Tom Segura, yeah.
Yeah, his wife is a comic.
Oh, really?
They both started in LA.
Oh.
They met like when they were open micers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they made it work.
Oh.
Yeah, so there are like Natasha Leggero and her husband Moshe Kasher, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's some comedy couples who manage to make it work, and they seem to be doing well. But I don't know,
I see a bunch of fourth wall couples.
Yeah. There's a few. Yeah. And then I've also seen some comics who are like, oh, that guy's an ex of mine, or that girl. Like,
really?
We used to date. Yeah. So it's always weird. Then it's weird to see each other at like open
I
mic
know,
sort of
that's what I'm
shows and
worried
stuff.
about.
Yeah. That's one thing.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd preferably like to find a non-comedian lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I second that.
Or in a non-entertainment business. Someone who's just like doesn't want to have anything to do with that anyway.
Yeah.
And then also someone who's like, hey, it's okay for you to be out super late doing, gigs, hanging out, whatever it is, like mics, gigs, whatever it is. Like that's because a lot of women aren't into that. Like, why are you out all the time and stuff? And I'm like,
I know this kid who had a show, and then afterwards there was a girl who liked his set.
Yeah.
He just got her number, and now they're dating.
Nice.
That's the way to go.
She was just an audience member.
Yeah.
Yeah. There've been a few audience members in a couple of my shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gorgeous women. They're like laughing